Folks. Today I wanted to go through kind of an introduction on Logic Pro. Just from step one, from creating a track, kind of the things to do before you even start recording. And this is just kind of something that I do when either I'm recording, um, a guitar track myself, or if a client comes to me and says, "Hey, I have an audio patch," maybe it's vocals or him playing guitar, and they want me to create a backing track behind that. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like for me to go ahead and get set up. So what you see here, I always just create, a software instrument. Um, Maybe I'll go drummer. Actually, let's go drummer. As you can see, that kicks out to my output 1 and 2, my left and right, and I'm just using a little M track interface here. Rock, sure, why not? So let's go ahead and create that track. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that, just backspace on that. So, okay, so here we have blank track, nothing really going on. I have my drum kit over here. Let's expand that. So on the drum track, I know a lot of people kind of miss this. They want to start with the drum track. I tend to, when I'm recording, I don't use metronomes. I guess you should. I don't, especially when I'm playing guitar. What I tend to do is kind of find a drum beat that I like, at least for the time being. I can change it later. To basically either play guitar to, write vocals to, basically build the song around the drum track. And it helps, even if you don't like the drum track, it helps your timing. And then that way, when you go back and you quantize that section, which we'll get to later, probably in another video, you have a lot less hassle. So, anyways, let's go click this down arrow right here. What this does is it allows us to, boom, plus, plus, plus. It kicks out your intro, verse, chorus. Now you can change these. A lot of people do all sorts of wacky arrangements, or maybe you're not even doing a song, but like, I don't know, an audio file for a movie or something. But what this does, and this is very important, especially if you're doing drum tracks, right? I'm not a drummer, I don't play drums. Um, what this does is this will automatically, when you add your drum track, it'll automatically sort the drum so it'll have a natural transition from your intro to your verse to your chorus, etc. Now later down the line, even when you go to, let's add another one, bridge, and another one, outro. So if you just hit plus down the line, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, outro, what that'll do is that'll basically it'll go through the natural ups and downs of the song. You won't have to go in and do like, okay, make sure a little drum fill before it goes to the bridge. Um, it's much more natural sounding. Whereas if you did not have this arrangement, right? Let's say we did not click this down arrow and we just have a drum track and we go boom, boom, boom. This doesn't say intro, verse, chorus anymore. This is just simply creating random drum feeds that are not going to mesh well. So let me go ahead and play this. I'm using my built-in mic on my Mac, but I don't want my monitors to kill the microphone. So here, if you can just so a little intro beat, plain and simple, whatever. So you can see, I mean, we did really nothing, right? What did we do? We created a new track, a new drum track. We went ahead and hit our arrangement, and we created our intro, verse, and our chorus. Um, Obviously, that's going to be stock, plain Jane, whatever. And for everybody using Logic Pro, if they were to go and use the SoCal and create a rock and do the same bars, the intro, the verse, and the chorus, it would be this exact same layout. So you are expected to change it. You don't want it to sound like everybody else's, Joe Schmo's drum track. And you can change the drums. But usually, what I do is I say, okay, well, that's good enough. Um, so let's go from there. So basically, you have a couple things to go off of. Like, okay, I'm going to record my guitar now. So, what I do, if you know what you're playing, you can kind of gauge your BPM. Sometimes I sit down feeling in a creative mood and I'll say, okay, I want to play maybe like a rock style, but I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm just gonna kind of write as I go, which most of us do. That's, I mean, if you have to finish up a couple songs, that's, you have to just kind of hammer it out sometimes. Um, but what's cool is now that we have this drum track locked in, we can go up here. This is your BPM for the entire project. So let's listen to the verse, right? Okay, that's cool. Pretty punchy, right? But let's say, well, I want it a little slower than that. You can double click. Let's just type in 70, right? This is going to be a drastic difference here. So now we're at 70 to keep that tempo. See, so you can speed up and slow that down. So knowing your BPM, or finding one that is typical, is pretty important. Now, if you don't have an idea how fast or how slow you should play something, that might sound weird, but it's really not. What I recommend you do is, like, look up what type of song you intend on making. Or if you're creating a backing track for somebody who has already done something, well, then you'll be able to analyze that. But if you look up, hey, what's a typical pop song? Well, it's 110. What's a typical blues, laid back blues song? Well, keep it at 80 to 90 beats per minute. And that'll help a lot. That way you can just set it, forget it, and if you need to switch it a little later, you can do so. Okay, so now moving on. So I don't have my guitar. I'm not going to record or anything, but basically that's how I would set up my drum track ready to lay something down. So because I don't have my guitar, what I want to show you is I'm going to go, hopefully I don't have anything embarrassing on here on my screen. I'm going to go, because we can just click and drag in audio, okay? So let's say, don't look at my files, guys. um, I shouldn't put this client's vocals in here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. There's best thing. Bear with me here. Best thing, verse and chorus. Okay, so verse 1, chorus 1. This is what he sent me. So this is an example. Some guy just sent it. We don't know what the BPM is going to be. We don't know, if things are quantized. We just have an audio track. So what I'm going to do, the intro, he doesn't have an intro for this song, so I would have to then go in and create a full, strictly instrumental intro, and then he has the vocals for the verse, chorus, and the rest of the songs are on different files. But let's go ahead and hear what he has. So it's better. Okay, so definitely let's turn this down. It's been a really long time since the last saw your face. Tell me what you've been up to. Okay. Since you left me. Okay, so basically it's him and an acoustic guitar, right? So this is real easy, guys. What we do is we're going to go, this has no information, right? Again, we don't know what key, nothing. So we just go, click on the track, your audio file, go to Smart Tempo. When you double click, right, let's double click again. Okay, boom. Smart Tempo. Click Analyze. Now watch this. It'll take a minute. Okay. Now we're not going to mess with any of this, okay? But this is at a 107. Okay, that's our beats per minute. 107. We're at a 4/4 signature. Okay. C major. Now you can do this one of two ways. If you want this to be in 110, if the client says, "Hey, I'm kind of everything is revolving around 110. Maybe he's just a little off and his tempo is actually 107." You can adjust that here and put him at 110. The problem is if you put this at 110, like if you just double click and go 110, enter. Now watch it adjust. Okay, now we're at a 110 tempo. It's been a really long time since the last saw your face. Okay. Tell me what you've been up to. So you can do that. This is probably, it's not crammed with a bunch of different instruments and vocals, so it's not too critical here. But when you have that audio file real jam-packed with sounds, there's not a lot of wind in between those sounds. What ends up happening is throughout your audio file, it'll kind of sound like a robot. So because of that reason, at least for now, right, because we're just in a creative session, we're just trying to make this track jive. We're not mastering anything right now. So what I want to do, actually, I'll just, Control Z. Come on now. Do, 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 do. No, I don't want that. I'm using, sorry. So basically, Command Z, excuse me, I'm using a Windows keyboard. It's actually a gaming keyboard, so my command button is my Windows. Anyway, so we're back to 107. So that's the reason I don't really change that. I will simply change this to 110, okay? Excuse me, not 110, what am I doing? 107. Now that 107 will go ahead and set the entire project. So my drums will be there, right? What I have to do though with this audio file, and we can unmute this, is I want to trim this audio file on the front end so we can start it with the verse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of expand this. And this is great. I love how easy this is. We can see just perfectly. And sometimes, just to be like crystal clear, I'll really drag it out, and this lets us get a really good view. So you see that? I want to put it right up right up there, okay? Now, what's cool with having this drum track, right, is that we can make it follow, and I'm sure you guys know, hey, yeah, we can make it follow whatever. Um, but like if we had multiple tracks, right here we only have one. But once I import verse two and your bridge and maybe second chorus and an outro or whatever, um, you can actually down click. See, I just double click the drum track. You can click follow. Now, right now it says follow verse one and two, but later on, if it'll say verse two, chorus, outro, blah, blah, blah. And you can have it follow those as well. That's why sometimes it helps to have multiple drum tracks, like duplicate tracks, if you click up here, because then you can kind of stair step them into what follows what. But, anyways, I'm going to make it a simple. Let's just hear how this sounds. So, all we did again is kind of cut to when the vocals actually start, and we placed it on the beginning of the ninth bar. Okay. Um, so let's just hear how that transition works.
It's been a really long time since I last saw your face. Tell me what.
Okay, so that's, that's a little rough. So there's two ways you can deal with kind of lining this up. Let's get this out of the way. That's annoying me. Let's blow this up. So we can go here and let's see what happens. Now, if you're not familiar with this, you can do, trying to make sure I don't, as I lean back, I don't fuck with the volume here. We have a flex and follow. Now, you don't worry about aligning the bars and beats. Just worry about the off and on for right now. Now, you can flex and follow, and what this will do is this will kind of line up. See, this is your up and down beat right here, your markers. So some people would say, well, what you do is you go in here and you move this over. You can expand it just like upstairs we did. And you can move this over to, let's say here, where that sound wave is at its peak. So when the beats on your drum hits, it's hitting on the top of your vocals, right? Or vocal and guitar, or whatever. Um, but that kind of throws out the other drum relation around it. So then you end up having to pull all of these. We don't want to do that until we get to the master because it's just a fucking nightmare to deal with. What we want to do is flex and follow on. And I'm going to try this again and see if that adjusted anything, if the drums sound better. So let's see if that did anything.
It's been a really long time since I last saw your face. Tell me what you've been up to since you left me.
Okay, now I actually don't mind that. The drum levels were way too quiet. I'm going to kind of dip this down. This is another thing. Always kind of keep an eye over here and make sure pretty much always you're going to clip out, which means when we're letting this play,
it's been a really long time.
It's when you're in the red, you're clipping out. Now you can drag this down. Don't do that. I like to just kind of manipulate it from here. And then what you can do later on is you can actually go into effects, which we will get to, and you can put a compressor on here and basically it will cap the decibel. You just have to be careful. You know, you don't do it too sharply, so it basically it'll kill the sound wave and sound real flat. So let's see how that sounds.
It's been a really long time since the last song your face.
Again, vocals are still kind of higher than what these are, which is fine, but maybe it's just the guy's voice. I mean, geez, it's a little rough. Anyways, so we go up here.
It's been a really long time since the last.
Okay, so good enough. We're probably not perfectly in line, but it's pretty good. The thing is this is where we get to the point where I said previously, okay, we have our basic drum track, right? Something good enough to kind of line us up on timing, but it doesn't necessarily fit the song. And this is what's great about Logic. Um, so let's just go over to tools, right? Or library. I I tend to call things whatever, I want. So sometimes it doesn't make sense, but you can see my mouse is on library right here. Boom, boom, library. Now we can go down retro rock, hard rock, blah, blah, blah. So you can click what type of rock. Maybe it's like songwriter, right? What does that mean? It's kind of a poppy song, right? So now what we did by changing this is we changed the songwriter, the drummer. We changed the drummer to Darcy, a pop songwriter. What's up, Darcy? So now we're using the same kit, so her style of drumming is different, blah, blah, blah. But we have kits right here that we can choose from. So, which is pretty huge, right? So let's hear it now.
It's been a really long time since the last song your face. Tell me what you've been up to since you left me. Probably think I've been up.
Actually, you know what? And I don't mind that. Let's just leave it at that. At least we changed it kind of to the same genre. I would call that a pop song. But my reason for pointing this out is you can get crazy with it. Now you can go to some of these plus kits and you can do like alien sounds, whatever. You can also keep in mind change it to something completely different instrument, whatever. Um, so that's that. Hope I know I'm rambling, but I mean, let's just go back. So we'll sandwich this in, right? Um, so let's remember we have a verse. Our verse is only X amount long, and we don't know what he recorded. So what I do here is we need to stretch these out to match this song, and eventually we have to cut this. So let's see. First, one thing I do want to tell you about this. If you go in, I think it's Alt C. Yeah, so it's Alt C. What you can do is you can click on this and you can change these colors. I just pick random ones sometimes because as far as a visual, if you're working on a blown up project like this, like that's maxed in your screen, um, it's a really easy reference point without having to look at your lines. But what I'll do is I will actually stretch these, actually, no, go back. It automatically deletes if it's in that section. So let's go. if anything's in that section and you go to backspace or delete, it'll delete that portion, um, as you saw in the first place. So again, that's, let's go back, 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 back. So, because I want this little bit of outro here. So again, let's stretch that out. We'll delete that because we don't want to delete anything on the actual file. You see how I'm extending it past? That way I can delete it. We don't have to worry about that. Okay. So now we have to figure out where, we know where a verse starts, but we don't know where it ends, right? So again, I could care less about these drums right now, because we are going to go into here and find out where his verse ends and where his chorus begins. Yeah, I mean, I assume 9 times out of 10 you should be able to tell that. If not, ask the customer or the client, whatever, hey, what the fuck is going on? Because I've had that happen where it's like, where is your actual chorus?
Please, yeah, please.
And
I gotta say, hey.
okay, so I gotta say, hey, let's listen through. That's right around 25 here.
I gotta say, hey. Thanks for your time. I'm never.
So the I gotta say, I'm gonna leave that part in the verse just because of where it lines up. I want it to be kind of in an even bar. That's something you guys are gonna have to kind of make up your mind on. But also, I know that on the other verses, he goes like on verse 2, because I've already listened to him. He ends the verse with, I gotta say, hey. So that's going to stay on the verse. The other stuff moving forward is going to be our chorus. So let's get down and find out where that split happens. So we're going to have to blow this up. I like to make it bigger.
I gotta say,
Okay. I gotta say, and then hey. So that falls right there. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the tools for the tracks, they are up here. No, that's not what I want. Sorry, I'm kind of having a day. It's your drop down box right here. So, boom. You have tools, you have no tools. You have tools. So, what I do is I know this is, I gotta say, hey, this is him saying, hey, that's the start of our verse. I'm going to highlight that just by clicking on it like I did. Double click on it. Put your playhead right where you want to split it. Now, it could be maybe he says it here, or maybe he says it over here. It doesn't matter. Put where you want. But if you see, I'm dead center on 25. Now, I'm going to go split by playhead. What that's going to do, boom, is that creates now 2 recordings, right? Or 2 verse and a chorus, if you will. Okay, so that's all well and good. So let's make sure.
hard to find it is. I gotta say,
Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is this needs to just kind of go away. But for right now, what I'll do is the reason I did that is so I can now know where to put the drums. So if I mesh this back together, you and by the way, you can, if you're like, oh shit, I need to rejoin it, all you got to do is click this, because we still have our tools tab down, right? You just click this, hold shift, click this, and then click this join button. And then you just hit create. Now we're not going to do that now, but that is what you do. So boom, we're going to press it up, make sure that transition's smooth, we didn't mess with anything.
I gotta say, thanks for your time. I gotta say, thanks for your
Yep. And you can't really see it too well, but basically it kind of helps. Logic automatically helps that mesh together. You think something sounds good, but then you blow it up and you're like, oh, you know what? That's actually not on there perfect. So sometimes I get ridiculous with it. So if you see my marker, I want it on 25 in 1. And now that transition is going to be back to normal.
thanks for
Good. Good, good, good. One more time.
thanks for
Good. So if you're tracking, we have our verse. Get unmute our drums. And now we adjust our drums. Right now we're just setting up sections. We're not doing anything crazy. We're just setting up sections. We have to move our chorus over here, but our verse, which is right here, we're going to go ahead, boom, expand that, right? And this will automatically, this worked out pretty well. So he laid his verse down in 16 bars, which is fine. That's fairly typical. Now what we have to do is we have to see how long is our chorus. 4, 4, 10. So it's kind of weird, but that's what he wants. So let's go ahead, click this drum track. Now, I'm not going to create another track. I could, if you wanted to. All you have to do is click duplicate. Sorry. Click on the right track when you do that. So you could create a duplicate, and then you could just drag this down, and you would have this up here, and then this, your chorus, down on this, and you could label it verse and chorus. But you know, right now I don't really need to do that, so I'm not going to worry about it. But we are going to go into drums, and we are going to make sure that this is also following verse 1. One thing to remember is that if it's hard to explain, basically when you follow that, the verse and the chorus, it's going to follow in time what it's not going to follow like back here or whatever. It follows exactly in line. I say exactly the best it can. Boom, 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 across here. So sometimes you flex and follow, or you follow on your drums, and it might sound a little bit off on the drums than what it sounded like from the verse. But because this is the chorus, it's supposed to sound different anyways. And you'll see what I mean. We're going to make sure that this is still on flex and follow. So both of our, right? Because we clicked that before, but always make sure that the flex and follow didn't go away. Sometimes I have that happen. I don't know if I do that on accident or what, but let's hear what it sounds like here on a chorus.
I gotta say, thanks for your time. I'm never gonna get the years back, but now you're not mine. I
Okay, so that was pretty good. We're gonna go in, and obviously the timing on here, it would make sense for this to end because it starts at 25. It's supposed to be 10. So we're gonna end it right here. And you see how this doesn't want to end? It's it picks it up automatically like, oh, well, the timing on this falls right after bar 35. The way to fix that is, again, blow this thing way out. Okay, let's see if it'll do it now. We want it to fall right on 35. Boom. Yeah. And you see, fell right on it. So we're good. Now, if you got crazy, you can see, oh, actually, it's a little off, but it doesn't. This doesn't matter because it just trails off. So this is all blank space, anyways. Um, all you need to know is that when we come back with a new file, we're gonna be starting at 35 to pick up on the second verse. So, anyways, so let's go back here. Okay, so no intro, right? Um, so now we can go into. My kid keeps texting me. Oh, money! Can you cash at me? Shut the hell up. Um. All right. So now we can go into. What do you want to add to layer the track? I guess right now we got vocals. We got him playing guitar, though it's just like a rhythm, and drums. So what I like to do is, and I know people with Logic, you don't have, um, not all of us have the same patches, but what I like to do is I like to add, um, what I'll do is I'll just add a software instrument and go create. Now, I would hope that if you're watching this video, you have some sort of MIDI device. I use a little, I don't even know where I put it. I think I threw it in the corner. I use like a little Alesis or whatever they call them keyboard. One, it's small, but one that I can go up and down octaves with, blah, blah, blah. So I can play this, right? So I could play through instruments. You can click whatever instruments you want. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just briefly show you a couple more things. I'm going to save this for a second video and show you. I'll save this file and I'll show you how I go in and create instruments around this track. Um, but what I would recommend is, yes, of course, we need all these instruments, or you can just record your guitar or whatever. But what I use more often than not, I'm going to do that to expand, is when I click right here, the up and down arrow, I have a patch. Now this will, why is it not letting me do this? You know what? I might have to, actually, let's create an audio and see if it'll let me do it there. See how I created an audio. Now let's see. Oh, this is pissing. Okay, sorry about that. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna add uh, an instrument, right? We have, like I said, we have the drums, the guitar, the vocals, blah blah blah. We're gonna add a software instrument. All right, there we go. So before clicking, that's what I did wrong last time. Before clicking on anything, let's just go and I want to show you what I use. Now it'll show you Apple like, oh, hey, this is, you know, um, these are the options for, whatever standard Logic stuff you have. But I use Arcade, um, which is pretty cool. And it'll pop up in a minute. And this is what I'm going to make a second video about. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. I'm not going to make any sounds. I'm not going to do anything because I don't have my keyboard set up. Now, what this is this is a kit, okay? These are all kits. I'll show you. We can go to search, right? And this will show all these kits. Now, these are the kits that are online, okay? You can go to any of the kits. And you can hear the different. Now you can hear the different sounds and all that. Now, if you just go show downloaded, these are the ones that I've downloaded and used in the past. I really like these for like a hip hop thing. I don't know. So they're just cool. And when you click, once you download it, right, it downloads and then you just hit, it's a very fast download. And then you hit play kit. And so this is basically what your stuff will look like. And when you hit each key, it makes. And then you can adjust it, right? Right here it has delay, whatever effects it uses. But it's a pretty cool tool. And in today's like music world, you really kind of need that. Because we're so far away from just guitar, bass, vocals, drum, right? It's a four-piece song, but incorporating those sounds is what I like to do. That's kind of like what I want my brand to be, and that's all what my SoundCloud is kind of wacky sounds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it from here, and we're gonna make sure that we're good to go ahead and start working forward on adding different sounds, layering the track, etc. And that'll be again on video too. So let's go ahead and do a quick playthrough before I leave you.
It's been a really long time since I last saw your face. Tell me what you've been up to since you left me. Probably think I've been on my hands and knees, yeah. But ever since you left me, my body hard to find at ease.
All right, let's hear the chorus.
I gotta say, hey, thanks for your time. I'm never gonna get the years back, but now you're not mine. I finally wiped away the tears. You decided to leave. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
All right, so I mean that tracked pretty well. I don't want to ramble anymore. There's just so much shit to go over. What I was gonna say is we created the drum track, and it pretty well times with our audio. But the one thing is, we didn't do anything for the drums. We just put up boom, stop, stock drums. This is what it sounds like. We didn't say like when you double click on this, you probably notice all this other bullshit. Not only can you pick the drummer, the drum kit, but you can also pick like a style, like different beat presets right here, and then you can also drag this along. Um, and we'll do this once you kind of have the basics laid down, to kind of hone in on what song you want, you not what song, what type of song, what you want your sound to be. But to give you a small example, um, we'll do this.
It's been
Let me turn it up so you guys can hear. Right. So let's say we want more complex, a little louder. Let's say we want crazy fills. Right? But it's a simple song. We don't want that. So what I usually do is I'll put it somewhere in the middle just to kind of whatever. I do like the kick drum, the snare, the hi hat. Um, as far as a percussion, I would rather hear a little more hi hat.
the thing is, tell me what you've been up to since you left me.
Okay, so yeah, I'm good with that, and we'll fuck with that later. But anyways, see you guys later. Probably tomorrow I'll post something on video too with those laying down those new instrument tracks. Please like, share, subscribe, especially if you're a Logic artist, and hopefully we can maybe learn together. If you guys got any tips and tricks, comment below or shoot me a message. All right, till next time.